He thought he could date me behind his fiancée's back. So I pretended to know nothing, got invited to their rehearsal dinner, and told her the truth in front of both families. While he watched his entire future collapse, I met him on one of those quiet weekday nights where everything feels harmless. A friend invited me out for drinks, claiming I needed to get out a little. I almost said no because work had drained whatever social energy I had left, but something in me said fine, one drink won't kill me. That was the night I met him. Mark. Tall, well-spoken, the kind of guy who made eye contact like he was actually paying attention. He laughed at my jokes, listened when I talked about my job, and didn't try to brag about his. It felt refreshing. At the end of the night, he asked for my number. No pressure, no weird pickup lines, just a quiet confidence. We texted, we went on a date. Then another. It was easy, comfortable. His only odd rule, he was always busy on weekends. At first, I shrugged. Maybe family obligations, maybe work. Not everyone is available all the time. Besides, the weekdays we did spend together were great. He brought flowers once, cooked for me, learned how I take my coffee. It felt genuine. A month passed before the first red flag. I noticed he never posted about his life on social media. His Instagram looked like a travel brochure. Landscapes, sunsets, not a single human. When I asked about it, he just laughed and said he liked privacy. Fair enough. The next flag came when we were grocery shopping together. He spotted this older couple from across the aisle and literally ducked behind a display of cereal boxes like a 5-year-old avoiding vegetables. He forced us out a different exit and brushed it off as not wanting to deal with them. It was weird, but I let it go. 2 months in, on a random Tuesday night, he left his phone on my coffee table while he went to the bathroom. It buzzed, bright notification. And at first, I only glanced because sometimes unread messages eat at you if you don't at least check who it's from. The notification preview read, Fiancée. Can't wait for the tasting tomorrow. Love you. My heart didn't even beat for a moment. It just paused. Fiancée? That wasn't a typo. There was a little heart emoji next to the name. He came back from the bathroom humming, completely oblivious to the way I was staring at him. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I lied. Fine, just tired. He kissed me goodbye an hour later. I locked the door and sat on the floor of my living room, rereading that preview burned into my brain. Maybe it was a contact name joke. Maybe Fiancée was a nickname. But my gut twisted in a way guts only twist when the truth is ugly. So the next morning, I did what any painfully suspicious person would do. I became a part-time detective. His social media was clean. Family tags were scarce. But his Facebook, painfully dormant, had one post from a friend congratulating Mark and Natalie on their engagement. 12 months ago. 12 months, not new. Not private. Not complicated. He wasn't just hiding me. He was rehearsing a double life. I screenshotted the post. Zoomed into photos. Found pictures of him and a woman I'd never seen. Her smile was bright and real. She held his arm like she trusted it completely. Then I found the wedding page. Registry, venue, rehearsal dinner date, everything. Right there. And the rehearsal dinner? In 3 weeks, I didn't cry. I didn't throw things. I didn't even call him. I just stared at my screen and felt something cold bloom in my chest. Betrayal doesn't always come with tears. Sometimes it comes with clarity. That night, when we met for dinner as usual, I watched him. Really watched him. The way he looked at his phone under the table. The way he hesitated before answering simple questions. The way he flinched when I mentioned Saturdays. So, I asked casually, cutting my steak, anything new coming up for you? He smiled. Not really. Work's crazy. Probably gonna be busy for a while. I nodded slowly. Yeah, I bet. At that moment, I made a decision. Not to confront him, not to beg an explanation, not to be the quiet, polite little secret he pigeonholed me into. No. I was going to give his fiancée the truth he denied her, publicly, loudly, proudly. Not because I wanted to ruin their wedding, but because she deserved more than to marry a man whose loyalty expired the moment her back was turned. So I started planning, quietly, patiently. I mapped out every detail. Found out who her maid of honor was. Found the venue address. And most importantly, I started collecting proof. Screenshots, messages, photo timestamps, locations, all neatly organized. Enough to crush denial like an ant under a boot. Every time he kissed me after that night, every good morning text, every casual, I really care about you, I smiled back. And saved every piece. He thought he was playing 2 different women. In reality, he was giving me ammunition. Days ticked by. I watched him lie effortlessly like he was reading off a script. Meanwhile, his wedding website proudly displayed the countdown. 18 days until forever. I checked it daily. Not because I was jealous, but because forever was getting closer, and the truth was too. The night before the rehearsal dinner, he texted, busy tomorrow night. Family thing. I'll see you next week. I stared at the screen, smiled, and typed back, totally fine. Have fun. He had no idea that I'd already RSVP'd to that very same rehearsal dinner, as a +1, for his cousin, who, by the way, was very open to talking when I showed her the screenshots. When tomorrow came, I stood in front of my mirror, wearing a dress that screamed confidence and a calm expression that hid a storm. I rehearsed what I'd say. Not emotional. Not dramatic. Just factual. Precise. Surgical. You'd be surprised how quietly you can ruin a liar. My Uber pulled up. I got in. My stomach fluttered, not from fear but anticipation. And as we drove toward the glowing venue, I took a deep breath and smiled, because tomorrow, he wouldn't be juggling 2 women anymore. Walking into that rehearsal dinner felt surreal. The hall was glowing with chandeliers, Laughter echoing off the walls, servers moving between tables with trays of hors d'oeuvres. Everyone looked polished, excited, happy. I felt like an intruder at a party meant for someone else, but with a plan. He spotted me immediately. Mark froze for a split second before plastering that charming grin on his face, the one that had pulled me in months ago. I smiled back, sweet, soft, innocent, but the smile didn't reach my eyes. That little sparkle? Gone. I wanted him to feel nothing but calm dread, the kind that builds when you know something is about to go wrong, and you can't do a damn thing about it. He approached me. Hey, what are you doing here? His voice was low, trying to mask surprise, but I caught the slight tremor. Classic. I'm a +1, I said casually. Your cousin invited me, he blinked. Oh, right. Pause. Cool. He tried to chuckle, but it came out tight, forced. I didn't give him a chance to breathe. I let him stew for a moment, wandering to his table, glancing around nervously. I could see it, the little flinch every time someone mentioned his fiancée, Natalie. He thought he had control, but control is fragile, like glass. And I had a hammer. I took a seat nearby, not too obvious, not too far. I wanted him to notice me, but not enough to figure out exactly what I was about to do. The tables were full of friends and family. Natalie, the bride-to-be, looked radiant. Completely unaware. Completely trusting. And my blood boiled, not with rage at her, but at his audacity. Over the next 30 minutes, the room buzzed with chatter. Everyone laughed about childhood stories, about family mishaps, about the rehearsal dinner menu. I kept my phone in my purse, scrolling quietly, double-checking my evidence. Screenshots of texts, photos of them together, timestamps of every lie. I had it all. Enough to remove every shadow of doubt from Natalie's mind when the moment came. The appetizer plates were cleared, and the photographer started snapping candid shots. That's when I decided the time was right. I tapped the server, requested a moment to speak to Natalie alone. The server looked nervous but complied. I took a deep breath. I found her in the corner of the room, laughing with her bridesmaids, radiant and glowing, completely oblivious. Natalie, I said softly. She turned, smiling warmly. Yes? Her voice was sweet, trusting. Can we step over here for a second? I gestured toward the side of the room near the windows. She followed without hesitation. Once we were a few feet away from prying eyes, I opened my purse and handed her my phone, unlocked, pointing to the message threads and photos. She froze, her eyes scanning quickly, scanning again. What? What is this? She whispered, voice trembling. That's your fiancé, I said quietly. Dating me behind your back. Her hand flew to her mouth. The laughter from inside the room seemed miles away. Her bridesmaids crowded around, peering over her shoulder. Her face went pale. I don't... This can't... She stammered, clutching my arm like I was about to disappear. You deserve the truth before anyone else manipulates it, I said. He's been living a double life. I tried to ignore it. I didn't want to ruin your wedding, but I also couldn't let him lie to you one more day. The look on her face, shock, disbelief, betrayal, was pure, unfiltered, and glorious. Behind her, I could see Mark realizing what was happening. His jaw dropped. His hands went slack at his sides. Guests began noticing the commotion. Whispers grew louder. A few people in the main hall peeked toward us, eyes widening. The bride's mother rushed over, her hand clutching her pearls, staring at the phone like she'd just witnessed a crime scene. Mark came over, desperate, trying to grab Natalie's arm. Wait, let me explain. His voice was rising, cracking. Explain what? Natalie snapped, turning to face him fully, holding my phone like a shield. Explain why you've been lying for months? Why you promised me forever while texting her in the middle of the night? Explain that? I stepped back, giving her space, smiling softly, letting her voice carry. He tried to protest, tried to argue, tried to charm. Nothing worked. Not a word. Not a gesture. She finally looked at him, and the expression in her eyes, pure hurt and fury, was more powerful than any scolding I could have mustered. Someone from the family finally spoke up. Mark, what is this? His fiancé's father stepped closer. Son, is this true? His tone was sharp, commanding. He didn't even look at me. He didn't need to. I was merely the messenger, Mark stammered, muttered, pleaded. Every word made him look smaller. His confident facade, the one that had fooled me at first, collapsed entirely. Natalie dropped the phone on the table. I trusted you, she said softly. But there was steel beneath the softness. I don't know why, but thank you for showing me this before the wedding. I appreciate your honesty. She didn't yell at me. She didn't blame me. She simply took control of her own life. And I realized that's what petty satisfaction feels like. Watching someone face consequences they never expected, while the person they tried to manipulate finally stands tall. Mark stood there, speechless, sweating, looking like every last shred of dignity had been ripped from him. Guests whispered, some glaring at him. The bride's mother shook her head, muttering about trust, lies, and deception. Everyone in that room had seen his entire carefully constructed lie exposed in minutes. And me? I just sipped my water, smiled faintly, and felt a kind of calm satisfaction wash over me. Natalie turned to me and whispered, I don't know what to say. I shook my head. You don't have to say anything. You deserve the truth. That's enough. For the rest of the evening, the room buzzed with tension. Some guests avoided Mark entirely. Some whispered behind their hands. Natalie's parents comforted her, and Mark? He sat at the head table like a man defeated, humiliated, and painfully aware that his actions had finally caught up to him. Later, I left quietly, letting Natalie take control of the fallout. I didn't need thanks, didn't need acknowledgement. Just seeing justice, messy and human, served exactly where it belonged. After the initial shock, the room felt electric. Like everyone could smell the tension, taste the betrayal. Whispers ricocheted off the walls. Mark's confident swagger had completely vanished. He sat there, jaw tight, fingers drumming nervously on the table, trying to regain control of a situation he'd already lost. But nothing worked. Nothing could undo the look on Natalie's face, the combination of hurt, disbelief, and newfound clarity that radiated from her like heat. Guests kept glancing between him and me. I felt their eyes, but I didn't flinch. I hadn't done anything wrong. I hadn't tried to ruin her life. I had given her truth. And watching him squirm under that scrutiny, that was all I needed. Natalie, surprisingly composed, finally stood. The room went quiet, like everyone collectively held their breath, waiting to see what she would do next. She didn't scream. She didn't cry, at least not at first. She looked Mark straight in the eyes and said, voice firm, I trusted you. I believed in you. And you chose to lie to me, to cheat, and to hide your entire life. I will not marry someone who can't be honest with me. The room gasped. Some women dabbed at their eyes. The men around him shifted uncomfortably. His parents whispered frantically to each other, probably realizing that decades of pride and planning were crumbling in seconds. Mark opened his mouth. He stammered. Natalie, I can explain. She cut him off. No, there's nothing to explain. Actions speak louder than words. And your actions have spoken loud enough for everyone to hear. Aunts, uncles, bridesmaids, and even the photographer stopped moving. Phones came out, some snapping discreetly, some obvious. Everyone wanted evidence of what had just unfolded, like they couldn't believe it was actually happening in real life. I stayed back, hands loosely at my sides, calm. I didn't gloat. I didn't even smirk. I just let him flounder. He tried leaning forward, pleading quietly, but it didn't matter. I had already seen the downfall he'd set himself up for, and now everyone else could witness it too. Natalie took a deep breath, composed herself, and whispered to me just loud enough for him to hear. Thank you for showing me the truth before it was too late. That line was more satisfying than I could ever describe. Not because I wanted recognition, but because it reinforced that I had done the right thing. He had built a house of lies, and I had just handed the matches to the owner of the house he was supposed to protect. Mark's humiliation didn't stop there. His groomsmen avoided him for the rest of the night. The DJ awkwardly played music while he sat frozen at the head table. Guests whispered in corners, exchanged knowing looks, and I could hear mutters of, I can't believe he did this, or wow, she's amazing for handling it like this. Meanwhile, Natalie slowly started processing everything. She texted her best friend, called her mother, and even confronted some of his closer relatives who had been quietly complicit. You could see the power shift, the room gradually acknowledging that she wasn't the victim here. She was reclaiming control of her life, right there in front of everyone who thought they knew the story. I quietly left before dessert. There was no need to stay. My part was done. I didn't linger to hear his excuses or watch his apologies. He had made his bed, and now he had to lie in it, with a wedding that would never happen, and the embarrassment of knowing every single guest saw his entire lie collapse in real time. Weeks later, I checked social media. Pictures of Natalie laughing, hugging her friends, moving on. Mark's accounts were eerily quiet, deleted, empty. The world had caught up with him, and he had no audience left to charm. I met up with a friend afterward and told them what happened. They asked if I felt bad. I didn't. Not really. There's a strange kind of peace in watching justice unfold. Not violent, not mean-spirited, just correct. Sometimes I think about that night and smile quietly to myself. Not because I took pleasure in exposing him, but because I chose to do what was right for someone who had been deceived. I didn't ruin her life. I saved her from the life she didn't deserve. And as for Mark, well, let's just say karma has a way of teaching lessons louder than any confrontation ever could. That night, in the glow of the chandeliers, amidst the whispers and glances, the wedding hall wasn't filled with love and joy. It was filled with truth.